What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode in the Unleashed Potential Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Haji, as always, alongside the boys, Mr. Hassan, Elmi, and Jabbar. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
You got the names right this time,
Oh, I got it right. Yeah, alhamdulillah, I got it right now. Because normally what I do is I look here and then I mix up this, so I just decided to go this way this time. Alhamdulillah. How you guys been, man? As you guys can tell, I got a bit of the hay fever kicking up.
I know. I'm always sitting next to you.
I don't, hay fever, flu, whatever it is.
Every time you're sick, I'm next to him. Every time.
I don't know, man. But alhamdulillah, it doesn't really affect you that much. So alhamdulillah, may Allah keep your health as it is. But how you boys been? How's your week been?
It's been good, man. Alhamdulillah. Been busy, but you know, it's a 4-day week because we had that public holiday on Monday.
Yeah. Mashallah.
So,
and how I feel now.
Every
week's a 4-day week for me.
Yeah, I know. And then there's daylight saving happening in all the other states.
So the time difference.
Time difference.
Yeah. You know? Extra hour. Yeah.
Apparently they did a poll on the daylight saving to see whether WA would want to reintroduce or not. I think it was like over 50% said let's do it.
Yeah.
Really? Apparently.
But like after they did it for 3 years, and then during those 3 years, everyone hated it.
Yeah. And then they got rid of it.
And they wanted it back.
Yeah. It's just because the pay comes in an hour later. You know?
I think that's why.
So what with the daylight savings now we get an hour less or an hour more?
No, we don't.
It'll be a 3-hour time difference between here and all the others.
But if we were to have daylight savings,
it would be the same.
Oh, they'll take it back.
They'll push it. I think they'll push it forward.
Okay. Yeah. So then it'll still be the 2 hours. Yeah. But besides that, everything else is good.
Yeah, man.
How's your week been?
Alhamdulillah, good, man.
Yeah. Busy.
Beautiful week, man.
Beautiful week.
Alhamdulillah, weather's good.
Alhamdulillah. Gonna be hitting up the beaches soon, eh? I know you love to go for a swim every now and
then.
Maybe
in another couple of months.
What are we in? We in
October now. Still alright.
Yeah.
Still alright weather.
Actually, they said next week it's gonna be like in the 30s.
Yeah, Tuesday, 34 already.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, Tuesday's already 34.
Yeah,
starting.
Damn.
We're starting to get summer soon, and a lot of our viewers up in Scandinavia and those areas, Europe will be
just kicking off for
winter.
Don't wait for them. That global warming will reach them soon enough.
Alhamdulillah, everything's good on this side. Man, this week we've got a massive topic, a big topic coming up for today, inshallah, and it.
The classic divide.
Yeah, it came up of a question that you asked us. Do you wanna? I'll let you bring it in today.
So it's a simple question, and maybe the answer is a lot more complicated than it seems.
I would hope so.
Yeah, no, and the question itself it extends beyond just the scenario that I put forward. And that's probably the point of it as well. But the question is basically, who do you put in the front seat of your car when you're going somewhere? Do you put your mum or do you put your wife? In other words, who do you prefer?
Yeah, preference.
In most cases or in certain situations, who do you give preference to? Is it your wife or your mum? And the reason why I ask this is because this is something that I see common in social media. These are discussions that I see on a regular basis. These are some things that I feel like the youth don't necessarily understand. Especially the ones that are getting married, and also just understanding what their responsibilities is towards each one. And sometimes people confuse the two. And as evident as the discussion that we had prior to this, you can see that we're sort of trying to understand it in a more clear way. But so how would you answer the question then?
Well, for that specific scenario, and disclaimer out there to all the wives, all the mothers, and all the brothers who might share some of our views and whatnot. With that question, firstly, it doesn't just necessarily relate to us males in terms of wife and mother. It also, I think, can be flipped the other way in terms of husband and parent as well. So it's just your partner. Exactly, your partner and the relevant parent. Wallahi, for me, it would be my mother, right?
In all situations?
No, in that specific situation.
Okay, but in most situations.
In most situations, the way I go about it is firstly, when you get married, you've got to learn the rules of marriage, right? the ahkam marriage. So marriage comes with a set of rules, responsibilities, understanding that as a person, and also knowing what your duties are to your parents. And for me, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Isra, after mentioning worshipping Him, He pretty much, the next step down is being dutiful to your parents. So for me, your parents, I put parents on a pedestal, right? But that doesn't mean that my parents are always going to be right. Your parents have a right over you, where the Prophet ﷺ said your mother 3 times and then your father, right? So firstly, your parents. But then when it comes to all situations, you have a responsibility to your wife, duty of care, right? So your mother, I would, unless it's firstly, life and death scenario is different, because unless you're in the situation, you don't know, right? But if it's a clash, if it's my mum and my wife don't get along, obviously you go through the right mediation course. But generally, I would put my mum first.
But going off what you said, about the being dutiful to your parents, you're not necessarily being disrespectful, you know what I mean? Like by having her sit in the back seat. And I'm using the idea as an analogy, right? The idea of the car situation, right? So she's still coming along for the ride. Yeah. She's still getting her rights fulfilled, and so is your wife. Yeah. It's just a matter of, like, this is not a great evil where if your mom sits in the back seat, that it's going to affect people, right? But I'm asking you this in the sense that, okay, so everybody assumes in an ideal situation that you don't you're not put in this situation, first of all. Yeah. Second of all, if you are, that you don't have to communicate this to your wife. Your wife should automatically know that it's not because she's your mother, but because she's an elder
exactly.
that she would prefer her to sit in the back in the front seat, right? But in the situation where the wife is upset that you made that decision on her behalf, that you chose to put your own mother in the front seat, and she's saying, well, why don't you choose that for me as well? Why don't you let me decide then? You know what I mean? Like, when you force that decision onto her. So what I'm asking you is, in the situation where certain cases
upsets a party, right?
Upsets one. Yeah. And putting your wife in the back seat, putting your mother in the back seat doesn't affect your mum as much. Yeah. Right? So do you give preference to your wife in that situation like that? Do you understand?
That is a situation where, unfortunately, a lot of people find themselves in, where they're forced to make a decision and either party gets upset, right? And then that comes down to you as the person and how you go about it, right? So if I made the decision and I was like, I put my mom in the front seat, for example, and my wife got upset. Firstly, mistakes do happen, right? So that's a one-off mistake.
Oh, whose mistake? I'm saying
my mistake. So if my wife got upset about it, the first option, the first step would be, okay, that upset you. I didn't know. Okay, you sort that out, right? Yeah. But then now I know that
it upsets
her. I would then approach my wife and find out why it upsets her, right? And talk about it and try to make her understand that it's not necessarily that I'm trying to make sure that just because you're my wife and this is my mom, I'm going to put my mom in front of you, right? And like you said, it should be an unspoken sort of thing where it's out of respect, right? And that's just for the car scenario. But any other scenario where it's like my wife gets upset over something because I give preference to my mother, right? I would speak to my wife in a way where I try to make her understand where I'm at, right? And secondly, because that she's not only my mother now, she's your mother too. And I see your parents as my parents, right? And I would give them the utmost respect.
You're sitting in the back seat.
I'm sitting in the boot if I have to. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I would try to explain that I would do the same for your parents, and I would expect you, or at least I would request that you do the same for mine, regardless. Like, the way I see it, I would take anything for my wife's parents. You know what I mean? Instead of making them feel upset, I would take whatever burden on me, and I would expect my wife to do the same. You know what And if it is situations where, for example, my wife is upset or doesn't want to be around my mother, for example, right? And that's a big issue. You get couples of scenarios where the wife comes up and says, I can't stand your mother, for example, right? Then, and these are situations where a lot of people don't know how to make the right sort of judgments, where they just be like, okay, well, my mother's my mother, like, see you later, I can find somebody else. Where I think that's a very dangerous and very pretty much no-go, like, way, you know what I mean? I would speak to my wife and be like, yo, okay, you don't want to be around my mom, whatever reasons, provided there are reasons, okay, we'll limit the time that you two are there together, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to force my wife to come to my parents' house every day, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I would take into consideration, like, okay, whenever my wife does come with me, I know that there's a bit of tension. I won't keep her there for too long.
Okay, so assume, sorry to cut you, so assume that tension is going on, right? And now your parents, your mum and your wife have to jump in the car with you. So who do you prefer? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So who do you prefer in situations like that?
It's difficult, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't stoke the fires and be like, yo, you're gonna sit. I wouldn't speak to my wife in a way where, like, yo, you're gonna sit in the back. I would put it in a way where I'm requesting that compromise of her for my sake. You know what I mean? Like, I would do the same for you.
Like, if you love me enough,
like,
you'd put that pride.
Exactly, do it for me, kind of thing.
One
so you've got to tread. You're treading on eggshells, So you've got to navigate it in a way, because you can request things of your spouse, and your spouse should be, God willing, able to put their pride and their ego on the line for you. You get what I mean? So I would put it in a way like, I understand this tension, but again, this is my mother. You're my wife, like, my mother will always be part of my life, and I want you to always be part of my life. Like, we chose each other, you know what I mean? So like, take this from me, you know what I mean?
Okay. Say your wife jumps in the front seat anyway.
Oh man.
So what then? And you're helping your mother to the car. Now, like I said, this car thing is an analogy.
Exactly.
So say your wife made the decision ahead of time to jump in the front seat. So what do you do then? Do you say, okay, mom, wait here, and you go have a chat to your wife? Can you jump in or do you make that decision and just say, no, look, mum, you're just gonna have to take the L this time, and jump in the back, look, it's for this. Look, at the end of the day, what is the goal? To have that relationship with your mum where you're not disrespectful, and to save your marriage. Yeah, because we live in a time where divorce rates and marriages breaking apart is very high, right? And what's the worst thing? I personally don't see anything like. I see a family breaking up as one of the worst things that can happen. Like, building that family is completely half your deen, right? So if my wife made that decision to go ahead in the car seat, I would, without making a big fuss out of it, I'll just help my mom to the back door, right? Yeah. And Adi. But me and my wife are gonna have a chat about that later on. You know what I mean? Like, we need to talk.
We need to talk. We need to because. Again, you try to make the person understand, like, whatever you do to my parents, I can do to yours as well. But that's not
the way we want to go. No, I get that.
So that's the way I would go about it.
I want these guys to
jump in. I can see every question you ask Jabbar is like, okay, when's this guy done? I'm ready.
I'm watching him. He's waffling. Like, I can see he's kind of like, oh.
No, but the thing is,
I understand exactly. I know that you know what you want to say. You're just making sure everyone else can understand
can follow through. Because I've got
this is a topic where you mess up, people are gonna be on you.
Not only that, like, for me, the way
no,
I would go about it.
He's speaking his truth. Like,
I know, but he wants to make sure that truth is crystal clear.
So like for me, the way I work is like, everything is up here, right? And for me, it's already pre-decided, but I want it to come out in a way where everybody's following me with the vision that I have.
And you'll give a point, and it'll be valid for that situation, but you'll realize that that's not valid for every situation. So you start going, but on this.
That's the thing. This question is very tough because it's a case by case. But what we're looking at is, like, on a general level.
Yeah,
I know.
Who is it that you give preference to?
So it goes,
like, with your time, with your, and it could be as small as something like that.
Yeah,
I know. I was listening to the whole thing, and I was listening to the car scenario. And so for me, it's fairly simple. You put your mum first. But that's if everything is right. If it's just like a small argument, you know, like you can talk about or whatever it is. But if it's a situation where one person's wrong, one person's right, you can't just go, it's always your mum. That's when you need to have that conversation and talk. But with that car scenario, if you guys live or have to drive that car every day, it's so much harder than if you live with your wife and you see your mum once a week or once a fortnight, because you're spending so much time with your wife that imagine flip it the other way around. You can just, like you said, take it, because especially if it's once a week. But there's people that live together. There's wives and moms that live together, and every time I'm thinking about it, I'm going, that makes that so much more harder because they're interacting every day. But like I said, it's fairly simple for me. It goes to your mum. But obviously, if she's right, sometimes your mum is your mum. She always puts you first. So sometimes your mum will take, like you said, a step back, because mums are mums.
I know. My mum's like that, for example,
and stuff like that.
My mother-in-law is like that. They'll never let me sit in the front seat. In the back seat. Sorry, they'll prefer themselves to sit in the back. Even though. For me, it's vice versa. Like I'd prefer they sit in the front.
But that's the ideal situation.
But it goes to your wife as well. And I've seen a lot of scenarios where the wife will give in and understandably give in, or the mother will give understandably. But when it goes constant, you know what I mean? Where it's like constantly, like you said, the wife is already sitting in the front seat. Your mum should be sitting there because she's the elder and everything. You let it slide. And your mum can go, okay, no worries, let it slide.
But if it's a
constant thing, now it's disrespectful.
Yeah, but then that's where, because you're present. You know what I mean? You're present for a lot of these situations, right? That's where you, as the spouse, you should also kind of get a feel of what's going on. Like if
I understand, but I don't know. I think it's not that. I think you have to be communicating. You always have to relation with it. Like it's always when people don't have a close relationship with both. Yeah. If you have close relation with both of them, when any of these stuff pop up, you can cut it out, talk about it, solve it. But when, as a husband, you're being like, you're not paying attention to your wife and it's having constant until your wife comes out and goes, look, I don't want to talk bad about your mum, but it's been going on for so long. Now you put yourself in that hot seat.
But then what's worse is when the wife actually does mention something and you're like, yo, that is my mum. And like, she can do no wrong kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, a lot of the youth nowadays.
A lot of people see where their mum can do no wrong.
Exactly. And that's a problem. They're putting it at the sake of their own marriage, right? They're not even considering the fact that their wife could be true.
It's my mum. There's no way that could happen.
These things, she could be potentially viewing it as it is, And all you're doing is you're just looking at it through one particular lens because you've already put it in your mind that your mum is right. Yeah. But what I want to know right now is, what about Elmi's take? Exactly. Like we already know that, what you guys think, but where do you stand?
Simple question, bro. Yeah. You said car seat, your wife or your mother in the front. Yeah. My mother, bro, at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying?
But that's who you would put it
in the front seat.
If your wife got in the front seat, what would you do?
I'll tell her get to the back. What do you want? I wouldn't.
Yeah. No.
Okay,
so you know what I mean? Like,
you won't say it like that.
No,
but she should be
already
have the intellect. You know what? This is an older person. This is a mother. I better sit in the back seat. But if she's tripping, like the way saying, well, she when you take her home, she gets angry. Why you put your mum in the front seat? Yeah. I'll tell her, shut up, man. Just relax. It's not a big deal. Yeah. It's just a seat.
But that's the thing. It's a big deal to her. Yeah. That's why she's raising it with you. So let's assume, for example, that it's not the fact that she goes in the front seat. It's the fact that you always choose your mum first, put her in. You don't even offer it to your wife. Maybe that's the issue. So how then do you? I'm serious. The reason why I'm asking this is because a lot of youth, for example, like I said at the beginning, don't understand the concept or the maintaining the relationship between the two parties, the wife and the in-laws, and also some wives themselves, some females. Mashallah, the females are doing better than the males, but the females sometimes they don't understand how to interact with the in-laws, or they don't know how to actually communicate these things to the husband. But it's interesting to hear your perspectives on it.
But see, for me, I think that comes down to how you, as the spouse, especially a lot of these, you don't really see. I don't know if there are cases, but I generally don't think that there are cases where the the husband or the male is the one that's competing with the in-law.
It could be the dad. I've seen that.
But I think more on the scale is like the wife and the mother-in-law kind of tension, right?
No. So in situations where it's the husband, it's usually the husband is communicating something to the wife, and the wife always listens to the father rather than the husband.
Yeah.
In situations like that causes that. You know. Okay, so who did you marry? Did you marry your father?
Who's the man of the household?
You know, there's that.
Exactly. That's the point that I was trying to raise. I think a lot of this comes down to you as a spouse, whether you're the husband or the wife, really making it clear to both parties your relationship with them, right? Making sure that your spouse, you don't make your spouse feel that you're preferencing the mother only, and you don't make the mother feel or the parent feel that you're neglecting them for the spouse. Like you are a daughter, but you're a partner as well, whether you're a husband or a wife, right? So if you're the husband, you got to make sure that you're making your wife feel valuable in her right, and your mother feel that you're not neglecting her, and that you're like, now I'm married and I've got my family, and now abandon you when you've raised me all these times. So like, and I think it really comes down to, again, like giving both parties their rights. Like if you give your wife your right and you're there and you're present, and you know, in your presence she feels valued and respected and all these things, and you fulfill your responsibilities, in my opinion, I don't think it will get to the stage where your wife feels that she needs to compete with your mother for your attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but sometimes those lines get really blurred, especially like Jabbar said, when the two parties are present within one household.
Yeah, that's the
you
part.
Marry your wife,
that's the part where
and now
it's different.
your mother, by some circumstance, has to live with you.
Exactly.
You know, permanently, right? So in those situations,
that's where it gets difficult.
That's where it gets really difficult. So that's why if you have like a separation, physical separation between the two parties, it does make it easier to separate the duties and the responsibilities, right? But in the issue, in the situation where she's actually there, present, sometimes those lines get really.
So in a situation like that, where you guys live together, right, and now you're put in a position where there's an argument, and you are asked to resolve it. How would you go about it? How would you guys go about it?
It depends. Like I said, it depends on the situation. But so when it comes, for example, like, geez, if it comes to like, I know it's tough, man.
It's very tough, exactly.
Tough. If it's a situation where it comes to money, for example, if the issue is money, then obviously you have a duty to your wife as opposed to your mum, right? If you have other siblings that can take care of that mother for you or help and assist, then it lessens that burden on you, and it makes it easier for you to focus majority of your time and money and effort and anything else on your family. Because at the end of the day, you've married this female, you've transferred the responsibility from the father to yourself.
Exactly.
Yes, the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said your mother 3 times as opposed to your father, right? And he never said your wife, right? But the wife has rights over you. Like I said, you've transferred that responsibility. So you have a responsibility to your wife. It's just making sure that you uphold both. Yeah. And sometimes those, like I said, it does blur, and it does clash, and it is difficult. But I mean, there's always a way.
In that sense, where they're living together, a lot of the times they just got married, so they haven't really established their household, and the parents are already in there, so they're in that mix. That's when it's really tough, when the wife is kind of like, what's going on? There is obviously that I've seen the other scenario where the mum, it might be like the only son or the only daughter, so the mum is constantly going over, constantly staying over, and the wife
constantly requires support.
Well, not really support. It's just that
the only child. The
only child. I want to be there, and sometimes like you see people give in. Like their mum will stay there all the time. Will cook all the food. Will do all of this, and they don't have that conversation.
Okay, let me give you guys a scenario. Right, let's say you're living with your mum, right, and you're married, but your mum has this issue with your wife, right? For example, she would always pick at her for, not being a good housewife, not doing certain duties to fulfill the rights of her husband, she feels like that wife is not living up to the expectation that she had in mind for her son, right? Yeah. Now, this becomes a lot of pressure for the wife. Yeah. And now she communicates that with you. Yeah. And you've tried, but the situation still occurs. Do you kick your mom out?
You leave
crazy?
Nah, see, it's very tough.
It's tough. It's a tough situation.
It's very tough.
But it's a situation that a lot of people have actually been in. So
in the reality, and if I was to give advice and somebody came out to me and said, I'm in this situation, I would ask them, have you tried communicating it to your parent? Honestly, sit them down. Without disrespecting your mother, don't hold anything back, Have you spoken your mind? Have you literally straight up asked your mom to back off from your wife, right? And your mom, regardless, despite all of that, has
still continued to be her usual self. Yeah.
Do you have any other siblings that she can live with? I'm
assuming the reason why she lives with you is because she doesn't have any others, or if she does live with the others, that she might cause a similar situation. So, let's say she doesn't have, for this discussion's sake, right? Let's say she doesn't have. Would it be fair to say that, look, Mum, I'm gonna rent you a place that's literally down the street. I'll pay for it. I'll look after all your expenses.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was going to say,
but then that also means that now your financial burden is split between two things now. So your wife gets half of what she originally had.
Yeah.
Because now you're paying for 2 rents. Now you're paying for 2 people. So.
But at the end of the day, if you do not rent a new place for your mum and whatnot, you really risk causing your wife a lot of stress, mental stress, and to the point where, like, in a lot of cases where it breaks up the household. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So living with half what you did is much better than not living together at all. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I know. You said, "Are you crazy?" Like, it's not even a possibility. What's your take on it?
That's a tough one, bro. When you said.
No, look.
I know that the words.
You want to kick her out.
No. Yeah. What I mean.
I'm very close to my mother,
Of course, as we all are, I'm sure.
Mate.
No,
you know what? But if your partner can, your wife can stay. I don't know how to answer that one, man.
It's a tough one.
It's
tough. And the thing
tough.
is, it's a common situation. It happens and across many cultures and many different, marriages. So it's not something that, is unique.
See the thing that I think a lot of people automatically trap themselves in is thinking this is my mother, yeah? But then your wife should be equally as important. Marriage is a sacred thing, you know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't just be like, just because I don't want to kick my mom out, I know it's a tough word, but like, I don't want to rent a new place for my mom, I want to sacrifice my marriage. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your mom and your dad did everything they possibly could to save their marriage and raise you in a solid household. You have to do the same thing. And sometimes if the closest people to you are detrimental to that household, in the most respectful and humble way, you've got to do something about it.
Something has to be done.
Because otherwise you can still fulfill the needs.
Exactly. And without disrespecting and causing drama, and there's ways to go about it. And even if you are not the one, if you can't find it in yourself to say that or speak those words to your mum, you've surely got uncles and aunties that are, her siblings that can tell her things straight up. Absolutely. That you can speak to. There's ways to go about it. At the very least, if you have nobody that's at that level with your mum, you have no uncles, aunties, no tribes of people that you can't speak to, you go to the imam. You can get an imam to speak to your parents for you if you can't do it yourself. You know what I mean? Sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
That's okay. Take your time.
But yeah, that was my point.
That's true. But hopefully that communication with your mum you can resolve, especially if your mum's giving you, if you can sit down and go, look, this is our relationship. If I have any problems with my wife and how she's dealing the household, I can speak to her. It's not, you know what I mean? And you can do that nicely enough to solve things. And alhamdulillah, it's going on. But when you know that there's a problem on either side, you shouldn't be picking the wrong solution. If one person's causing a problem, you can't overlook everyone else's rights because of someone else causing that problem. You have to. That doesn't mean the person causing the problem has to be gone, because especially like we're talking about your mum or might be your wife, you still got to, like that. You have to balance it, and that is the responsibility you have to think about when you're getting into marriage. A lot of people don't think about this.
Let me tell you, bro. That situation is very tough. But if I was in that situation,
Yeah, he thought about it. And now he's gonna
He's
go
still
back.
about it.
He's still gonna go back.
Yeah.
And think
I
about
was
it.
thinking, you know what, mate? You know, if your wife can deal with it, deal with your mother. Like if you're strong enough to deal with your mother, the amount of ajr she's gonna get, bro. Because obviously, still showing your mother respect, even though she still doubts her, and you know what I mean, bro. And if she still stood by her side, and then you stood by your mum's side, and she's strong enough to, you know what I mean, stand by your side.
But we're speaking of the case that she can't, and she's communicated that to you. But then I want to ask
Bro,
you,
like,
I want to ask you a
at least
question.
try to, because you don't want to kick your mother out, man. That's your mother,
But
and you don't want to send her away.
Can I ask you a question, Elmi?
Yeah.
If you spoke to your mum and you asked her, mum, maybe can I rent you another place, whatnot? Would she, or do you think mothers would take it in the wrong way? I don't think so. Depends.
But you said, hold on. But you guys said she has no one. Like, there's no other family. There's no other siblings.
Yeah, except
just
you.
you.
So yeah.
Nah, bro, you can't.
Nah,
For
we're
me,
talking
bro,
about
I'm not like there's Adam people, bro. That
No,
throw their
you're not
parents
leaving
away,
them
you
in a
know what I
nursing
mean?
home.
No,
What
no,
you're
no,
saying
no.
is
You
renting
rent her a
about-
nice house next to you.
Right next door.
Right next
No,
door.
oh, well,
Right
if
next
you
door.
can.
Well,
Or you have
as
two
close as you can.
stories or something
Yeah.
like that. You can make
I'll just
something.
Down the road, couple
Or
houses down,
you'll
wherever it is.
relocate to a place that does have two stories, you know,
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
that
or something
separation.
you
Of
can-
You
course,
know what I mean?
I'll try to be as close as I can to my mother, and obviously try to tell my wife whatever she can. Try to at least deal with it. Try to come from the Islamic point of view, you know, because bro, she get a lot of ajr, bro. The way, like, someone, especially if you're, because
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but
especially if you're, you know, wife, and then the mother was abusing the wife, bro, and then but the wife still stays by her husband. And you know, if he's a good man, he treats her good, this, that, whatever. But bro, it's tough.
What
bro.
you said was
You know what I mean?
Picking on
Yeah,
little things, right? But
yeah.
abuse is completely different.
But if we take the abuse out of it, if you have a strong wife that's able to take that, 10 years,
That's a
15
good
years,
woman,
20
bro.
years,
It'll break her.
it will break her. And then now you lost someone that was that strong. So you got to look at it and go, okay, she's that strong, which buys me enough time to solve this rather than letting
But
it
are
go
you
on.
really
You know what?
fulfilling her?
I don't have-
your
I don't-
wife's right
I
if
don't
you're
give
putting
an
her in a
answer.
situation like that?
I know what you mean, but what I'm
comes
saying
back
is if
to
your
that.
wife comes up to you and goes, look, I can handle this, that should put more pressure on you going, look, now
Try to fix it.
I have time to solve this and I cannot let this
Before-
go long enough
Yeah.
to break her.
It's tough, man. But
You know what? I don't have an answer. You know what? Everyone just do whatever you can do, man.
Nah, you can't.
Like, just do. No. But I'm saying not in a bad way, but as in, try to handle the situation like
As best you can.
as best as you can, bro.
I
Because
think
that's a tough one,
Haji
bro.
hit it really good. Like
Yeah.
talk to aunties, their
Yeah.
siblings,
Yeah.
you know, get that because you're a family.
Because
The
right
family
now,
is
when
bigger than
if
just
you speak to your auntie, who's
Yeah.
your mom's sister, and you're like, yo, this is the problem. Maybe without even getting to that problem, she can just have a word and be like, yo, you know, let your
Just
daughter-in-law
put
be
it
in peace,
this
you know.
way,
And
if
that's
that was
it.
your sister doing that, you could easily.
I can
go
be like,
out.
yo, what the hell are you doing? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I can be like, yo, like,
If
relax.
it's your
you know?
brother, you can
Everything-
square up with him as well.
Exactly, you get what I mean?
Hey,
So and sometimes like because your uncles and your aunties, they're your family, they don't want you disrespecting your parents, and they don't want you losing your marriage. They'll intervene and try to talk to either party and see what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hopefully you catch it before it
Before it gets to that point, that's the point where you're like,
Yeah.
you have to be present. You have to know.
you got to have a relationship
Yeah.
with both
100%.
your mother and your wife so well that you know
Yeah.
them. Like obviously, if you have such a strong relationship with your wife, she's gonna tell you the smallest inconvenience, like even if it's a little bit small. And the same with your mum.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can solve it rather than letting it get to a point where it becomes very detrimental.
I think this conversation is a little detrimental to Haji's coughing, so
Oh, man.
maybe we should end it here.
I don't
You
know.
know, 'cause-
No,
but-
mashallah, that was a good chat, man. It was good to see the different points of views, and inshallah, may our viewers find some sort of benefit.
Absolutely.
And please do give us feedback if you feel you disagree with any of our points
Or
or
advice if
Yeah.
they've
And
gone
as the
through it
disclaimer
well.
goes, to our wives,
to our wives.
we love you and we
Of
do
course.
prefer you.
Yeah,
And
of
to our
course.
mums, we also love
We
you.
love you
and
too,
we also
exactly.
prefer you as well.
I think
but
we'll
yeah,
close it
man.
up on that, inshallah. That was a nice close up.
That's it. Join us on the group chat, by the way.
Inshallah.
And we might post this one up and we'll see what you guys think, inshallah.
Until then, catch you guys.